Welcome to the Musar Torah podcast for Parshas Mattos. Join us as we explore the weekly Parsha, uncovering valuable insights and striving to become the best versions of ourselves through Musar teachings. In this week's Parsha, we encounter a fascinating detail that reveals profound truths about what it means to be a truly righteous person. The Torah tells us about the war against Midian, and in describing those who would go to battle, it uses a specific word that carries deep significance. The pasuk, Bamidbar Lamed Aleph Gimel, states, "Vayadaber Moshe el ha'am leimar hechaltzu me'itchem anashim l'tzava." Moshe spoke to the people, saying, "Arm men from among yourselves for the army." Rashi, drawing from the Sifri, explains something crucial about the word anashim, meaning men. He tells us this word means specifically people who are wise and have understanding. In other words, these weren't just any soldiers. They were tzaddikim, righteous individuals. Why would the Torah specifically choose righteous people for this military campaign? What does righteousness have to do with warfare? The answer lies in a profound insight about the very nature of what makes someone a tzaddik. Rav Yisroel Meir Druck Shlita offers a perspective that might challenge some of our assumptions about righteousness. He points out that many people think a tzaddik is primarily someone who takes on additional stringencies and conducts himself with extraordinary piety, someone who goes beyond the letter of the law in ritual observances. However, Rav Druck explains something fundamental. First, the tzaddik needs to be an ish, a mensch, a decent human being. Only after establishing this foundation can they continue to grow to higher levels of holiness. This insight is revolutionary because it reorders our priorities. Before we worry about extra chumros, stringencies, before we focus on elevated spiritual practices, we must first master the basics of being a good person. What does it mean to be a mensch? It means being honest in our business dealings. It means treating our spouses with respect and kindness. It means being patient with our children. It means showing up when we say we will. It means speaking truthfully. It means helping others when they are in need. A mensch is someone who can be trusted, someone whose word means something, someone who considers how their actions affect others. These aren't exotic spiritual practices. They are fundamental building blocks of human decency. Why is this distinction so important? Because when we skip the foundation of being a mensch and jump straight to advanced spiritual practices, we risk building our righteousness on unstable ground. We have all encountered people who are meticulous about certain religious observances, but are difficult to deal with personally. They may be extremely careful about kashrus, but harsh in their treatment of others. They may be punctual for every minyan, but unreliable in their personal commitments. They may know vast amounts of Torah, but lack basic empathy. This isn't true tzidkus. It's spiritual bypassing, using religious practices to avoid the hard work of character development. This brings us back to why the Torah specifically chose righteous people for this military campaign. War is perhaps the most ultimate test of character. Under pressure, our true nature emerges. Soldiers need to be trustworthy. Their comrades' lives depend on it. They need to be disciplined, courageous, and capable of making moral decisions under extreme stress. These qualities don't come from ritual observance alone. They come from the foundational work of becoming a mensch. The Torah understands that for this mission to have succeeded, it needed people who had done the deep work of character development, people who were anashim, complete human beings who could be relied upon in any situation. The beautiful thing about this approach is that when we build on the solid foundation of being a mensch, all other spiritual practices become more meaningful and effective. Our tefillos have more sincerity when they come from an honest heart. Our Torah study has more impact when it's practiced by someone who is committed to implementing its ethical teachings. Moreover, when we're solid in our character, we naturally inspire others. People are drawn to those who are genuinely good people, regardless of their level of religious observance. The lesson from this week's Parsha is both humbling and empowering. It's humbling because it reminds us that true righteousness begins with the basics of human decency. It's empowering because it shows us that we all have the capacity to begin this work right now in our daily interactions and relationships. Rav Druck's insight teaches us that the path to becoming a tzaddik doesn't begin in the beit midrash or with complex spiritual practices. It begins in our own homes, our workplaces, and our communities. It begins with the decision to be a Mentch, a decent, reliable, kind human being. As we move forward this week, let's commit to strengthening our foundation. Let's focus on being the kind of person others can depend on, the kind of people who make the world a little bit better simply by being in it. This is the first and most important step on the path to true righteousness. Thank you for joining us this week for this episode of Misor Torah Podcast. Until next time, may we all merit to be not just observers of Torah, but living examples of the Torah's ethical teachings. Have a good Shabbos.